Welcome to Star Bios, the podcast where we delve into the fascinating lives of entertainment legends. Today, we're going to embark on a captivating journey through the remarkable life of Muddy Waters, the iconic American blues musician who electrified the music world with his powerful voice and soulful guitar playing. Born McKinley Morganfield, Muddy Waters would become one of the most influential figures in blues history, leaving an indelible mark on the genre and inspiring countless artists across generations. As we step into the world of Muddy Waters, we find ourselves transported to the rural landscape of Jugg's Corner, Mississippi, a small community nestled deep within the heart of the Delta region. The year is 1913, and the United States is still reeling from the aftermath of the Civil War and the Reconstruction era. The air is thick with tension, as the African-American community in the South faces immense challenges, including poverty, segregation, and racial violence. It's against this backdrop that Muddy Waters' life story begins, a tale of resilience, creativity, and determination that would eventually shape the course of music history. On April 4, 1913, McKinley Morganfield was born to Berta and Ollie Morganfield in a humble household surrounded by the rich soil and cotton fields of the Mississippi Delta. The region's unique cultural landscape, with its blend of African-American, European, and Native American influences, would later become the foundation for Muddy's distinctive sound. As a child, McKinley grew up in a close-knit family, with his grandparents playing a significant role in shaping his early life. His grandmother Della was particularly influential, sharing stories of their ancestors and teaching him the importance of family, community, and tradition. However, Muddy's childhood was not without its challenges. His parents separated when he was just 3 years old, and his father eventually left the family to work as a laborer in another part of the state. This absence would later be reflected in Muddy's music, with themes of love, loss, and longing becoming a hallmark of his songwriting style. The pain of abandonment and the struggle to come to terms with his father's departure would stay with Muddy throughout his life, fueling his creative expression and informing his unique perspective on the world. As we explore Muddy's early years, we're struck by the harsh realities of rural life in the Delta region. His family struggled to make ends meet on their small farm, with Muddy beginning to work in the cotton fields at a young age. The back-breaking labor, the scorching sun, and the endless rows of cotton plants would become etched in his memory, later influencing the gritty realism that characterized his music. Despite these challenges, Muddy's childhood was also filled with music and laughter, as his family would often gather around the radio or at local gatherings to listen to blues and gospel performances. His grandfather, a skilled guitarist and singer, played a pivotal role in nurturing Muddy's musical talent. During informal sessions on the family's porch, Muddy would listen intently as his grandfather sang traditional African-American songs, the melodies and rhythms seeping deep into his soul. These early experiences not only sparked Muddy's interest in music, but also instilled in him a sense of pride and connection to his cultural heritage. As Muddy entered his teenage years, he became increasingly fascinated with the world beyond his small community. He would often sneak away from his chores to listen to the radio or attend local dances, where he was exposed to a wide range of musical styles, from blues and jazz to country and western swing. These early experiences broadened Muddy's musical horizons, introducing him to new sounds and influences that would later shape his unique style. The likes of Jimmie Rodgers, Blind Lemon Jefferson, and Ma Rainey became his idols, their music fueling his imagination and inspiring him to experiment with different genres. The Great Depression and the Dust Bowl had a profound impact on Muddy's family and community, with many African Americans facing even greater hardships as the economy contracted and opportunities dwindled. The once thriving cotton fields lay barren, the crops withering away like the hopes and dreams of the people who tended them. Despite these challenges, Muddy's love of music only deepened, and he began to see it as a way to escape the difficulties of his daily life and connect with something larger than himself. In the face of adversity, music became his solace, his comfort, and his guiding light. By the time Muddy was in his late teens, he'd already developed a distinctive singing style, which blended the emotional intensity of the blues with the storytelling traditions of African-American folklore. His early performances at local gatherings and parties earned him recognition and praise from his peers. And it wasn't long before he began to dream of taking his music to a wider audience. Little did he know that his unique sound would soon resonate with people all over the world, leaving an indelible mark on the history of American music. The blues, in particular, has a way of capturing the human experience with all its complexities and contradictions. For Muddy Waters, music was more than just a form of expression. It was a way of life, a source of strength, and a means of connecting with others across time and space. As Muddy Waters entered his early 20s, the Mississippi Delta's dusty landscape and worn-down juke joints became the backdrop for his burgeoning music career. The air was thick with the smell of cheap whiskey, stale cigarettes, and the faint hint of cotton fields that stretched as far as the eye could see. It was here, in this fertile ground, that Muddy began to make a name for himself, performing at local gatherings and parties where the blues flowed like lifeblood through the community. It was during one of these impromptu performances that he met Son Sims, a guitarist with a quick wit and quicker fingers. The two formed an instant bond, their musical chemistry sparking like a lit match on a summer night. Together, they created a unique sound that blended traditional blues with a more modern, electrified style, which quickly gained popularity among local audiences. As they played, the crowd would sway to the rhythm, their feet stomping out the beat on the wooden floorboards, while Muddy's powerful vocals and Sims's scorching guitar riffs seemed to conjure up the spirits of the Delta. In 1941, Muddy made the bold decision to leave the familiarity of the Delta behind and head north to Chicago, a city that pulsed with the rhythm of opportunity. He settled in the South Side, an area teeming with blues musicians, and soon found himself immersed in the vibrant music scene. The city's streets were alive with the sound of jazz and blues, and Muddy was determined to make his mark. He began performing at clubs and bars along Maxwell Street, where he met many of the city's top blues musicians, including Big Bill Broonzy, who would become a mentor and friend. Bronzy, a seasoned musician with a wealth of experience, took Muddy under his wing, teaching him the intricacies of the Chicago blues scene and introducing him to the city's musical elite. As they spent more time together, Muddy began to absorb the lessons of his mentor, learning how to navigate the complexities of the music industry and hone his craft. It was during this period that Muddy's unique vocal style, characterized by its raw emotional intensity, began to take shape. His voice seemed to capture the very essence of the blues, speaking directly to the hearts of all who listened. Muddy's big break came in 1948 when he recorded his first single, "I Can't Be Satisfied," for the Aristocrat label. The song, which featured Muddy on vocals and harmonica, backed by a simple guitar riff, was a huge success, selling over 50,000 copies and establishing Muddy as one of the leading blues musicians in Chicago. As the news of his success spread, Muddy found himself in high demand, performing at clubs and bars across the city and rubbing shoulders with other legendary musicians. Over the next few years, Muddy continued to record and perform, releasing a string of successful singles, including Rolling Stone and Honeybee. His music was characterized by its raw emotional intensity, and his unique vocal style seemed to capture the very essence of the blues. As his popularity grew, so did his reputation as one of the most innovative and influential blues musicians of his time. Muddy's performances became the stuff of legend, with audiences mesmerized by his stage presence and musical prowess. In 1950, Muddy signed with Chess Records, a label that would become synonymous with Chicago blues. It was here that he recorded some of his most famous songs, including Coochie Coochie Man and Manish Boy. These recordings, which featured Muddy's powerful vocals and harmonica playing, backed by a full band, helped to establish him as one of the leading figures in the Chicago blues scene. The Chess Records studio, with its worn-down equipment and makeshift acoustics, became Muddy's second home, where he could experiment and push the boundaries of his music. Muddy's music also caught the attention of other artists, including Chuck Berry, who has often cited Muddy as a major influence. In fact, Berry's hit song Maybellina was inspired by Muddy's Ida May, and he has often spoken about the debt he owes to Muddy's innovative style. As the 1950s progressed, Muddy continued to tour and record, performing at clubs and festivals across the United States. He also began to gain recognition from outside the blues community, with his music being praised by critics and fans of other genres. In 1958, he performed at the Newport Jazz Festival, where he was introduced to a new audience and helped to further popularize the blues. The festival, with its eclectic lineup and picturesque setting, provided the perfect backdrop for Muddy's unique sound, which seemed to transcend genre boundaries and speak directly to the hearts of all who listened. As he took the stage, surrounded by his band and a sea of adoring fans, Muddy seemed to embody the very spirit of the blues. His music conjuring up images of dusty Delta roads, crumbling juke joints, and the struggles of everyday life. Muddy's relationship with his contemporaries was also an important aspect of his career. He was particularly close to Howlin' Wolf, with whom he had a long-standing friendship and rivalry. The two musicians would often engage in good-natured competitions, each trying to outdo the other on stage and in the recording studio. This creative tension seemed to fuel their music, pushing them to new heights of innovation and experimentation. As they performed together, their voices and instruments blending in perfect harmony, it was clear that Muddy and Wolf were two sides of the same coin, each bringing their unique perspective to the blues. As the 1960s progressed, Muddy Waters continued to tour and record, albeit at a slower pace than during his heyday in the 1950s. The once electrifying clubs of Chicago's South Side, where he had cut his teeth as a young musician, were now dwindling in number, and the blues scene was evolving to accommodate the changing musical landscape. Yet Muddy remained a beloved figure in the blues community, and his music continued to inspire new generations of musicians who sought to tap into the raw emotion and authenticity that only he could provide. In 1967, he performed at the legendary Monterey Pop Festival, where he shared the stage with some of the biggest names in rock and roll, including Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. The festival was a pivotal moment in music history, marking a convergence of blues, folk, and rock that would forever alter the course of popular music. As Muddy took the stage, his signature growl and swagger commanding the attention of the crowd, he embodied the spirit of the blues, a primal, emotive force that transcended genres and generations. This exposure helped introduce Muddy's music to a wider audience, and he soon found himself playing to crowds of young people who were eager to experience the authentic sound of the blues. As he traveled from city to city, Muddy was struck by the sea of young faces that greeted him at every show. These were not just fans, they were acolytes, seeking to learn from the master and absorb the essence of his music. He regaled them with stories of his childhood in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where he had grown up surrounded by the sounds of the Delta blues. He spoke of the hardships and struggles that had shaped his life and informed his art, and he shared with them the wisdom he had gained from decades of performing and recording. In doing so, Muddy became more than just a musician. He was a guardian of the blues tradition, a keeper of its secrets and stories. In the 1970s, Muddy Waters continued to tour and record, releasing several albums that showcased his still vibrant talent. One of his most notable releases from this period was the London Muddy Waters Sessions, which featured him performing with a group of British musicians, including Rory Gallagher and Steve Winwood. This album helped to further cement Muddy's reputation as a global blues ambassador, and it remains a beloved classic among fans of the genre. The sessions themselves were a testament to Muddy's enduring creativity and his ability to adapt to new musical settings. As he worked with the British musicians, he found himself inspired by their energy and enthusiasm, and he responded in kind, delivering performances that were both deeply personal and universally relatable. As Muddy entered his later years, he began to receive widespread recognition for his contributions to music. In 1977, he was awarded a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, and in 1980, he was inducted into the Blues Foundation's Hall of Fame. These honors were a testament to Muddy's enduring influence on the world of blues, and they helped to ensure that his legacy would continue to be celebrated for generations to come. Yet, even as he basked in the glow of accolades and admiration, Muddy remained humble and grounded, never forgetting the struggles and hardships that had shaped his life and informed his art. Muddy Waters passed away on April 30th, 1983, at the age of 70, due to complications from heart disease. His death was met with an outpouring of tributes from the music community, with many of his fellow musicians and friends paying homage to his memory. Eric Clapton, who had often spoken of Muddy's influence on his own music, remembered him as the greatest blues musician of all time. and his influence will never be forgotten. This sentiment is echoed by fans and scholars alike, who continue to celebrate Muddy's music as a testament to the power and enduring legacy of the blues. Today, Muddy Waters is remembered as one of the most important figures in the history of American music. His contributions to the development of the blues are immeasurable, and his influence can be heard in everything from rock and roll to hip-hop. His music continues to inspire new generations of musicians who seek to tap into the raw emotion and authenticity that only the blues can provide. The blues, as Muddy understood it, was not just a genre of music. It was a way of life, a reflection of the human experience in all its complexity and beauty. It was a testament to the power of art to transcend borders and boundaries, to speak to our deepest hopes and fears, and to connect us with something greater than ourselves. In the end, Muddy Waters' story is one of triumph and perseverance, of a man who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most influential musicians of all time. His legacy continues to inspire us today, reminding us of the enduring power of music to touch our hearts and minds, and to transform our lives in ways both big and small. That's all for today's Star Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm Casey Gold reminding you to keep shooting for the stars.